Hey everyone, this is John Coleman. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Friends with Your Benefits. Look, unfortunately, many Americans out there are facing a caregiver crisis. And today, in order to talk about that and what employers can actually do to help their employees in a time of need, is Darren McKee. And Darren is a director of growth at Wealthy. Hey Darren, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Everything is going well, man. Thank you so much, and glad we were able to connect a couple weeks back on LinkedIn, and here we are today talking about this important topic. And thanks for what you all do at your organization as well. I think companies are so grateful for how long you guys have been in business doing what you do.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Darren actually has a very strong personal brand on LinkedIn. So, Darren, just to kind of dive right into it, right? So, why don't you say in your own words, right, what the caregiver crisis that many Americans facing actually is?
Yeah, I think about this a lot, right? Because I talk about it a ton here at Wealthy. And, when you fast forward 6 or 7 years ago, we were talking about mental health a little bit, right? Like just
Sure.
a tad. Now there's not an organization out there that's not supporting their employees' needs around mental health because it's such an important topic and we're not scared to talk about it anymore. I think that's what was happening with caregiving. Like we didn't want to talk about it because we didn't want to get passed up for promotions. We didn't want to get jumped over for other things. And so we were kind of scared to talk about it.
Hmm.
Really, leaders leading from the front and encouraging us to speak up and talk about caregiving has really changed the entire landscape of this silent crisis that's not really silent anymore. We're able to say that we're a dad with two kids at home. We're able to say that we're caring
Hmm.
for our next door neighbor that's a veteran. We're able to say that our parents are aging and we're trying to find long term care support
Sure.
for them. It does impact our jobs. It does impact our lives. It impacts who we are as people. And so having the ability to talk about that and also having companies have the ability to support their employees in that is absolutely crucial. 1 in 5 year employees are typically caregivers. It's pretty
Hmm.
conservative. I did a poll on LinkedIn recently where 900 people voted and 78% of them said they were
Wow.
caregivers. So
A lot of
it's
people.
growing.
So let's say there's a company out there and they decide, hey, we want to put Wealthy in place, right? We really
Yeah.
feel that caregiver support is super important for our employees and also candidly for attraction and retention. How does an employee go out there actually go about accessing Wealthy?
How they go about accessing Wealthy is that VP of Global Benefits would enter into a contract with Wealthy, and we would give access to that benefit to every single employee in that
Mm.
organization. And what that means is that person can open up a care journey, get access to our care coordination team to
Hmm.
walk them through anything and everything that goes on from a logistical and administrative support of care. We become an extension of their family and we support them, whether it's battling claims, whether it's vetting long term care insurance and facilities, whether it's finding social groups for military that's transitioning back into civilian life, kids with neurodiversities, literally anything and everything you can think of around care. These specialized 200 plus care coordinators are there at every given moment to support them.
Interesting. So I guess just to follow up there on one thing that you said. So let's say there's an employee out there who's dealing, unfortunately, with elder care issues, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to find a long-term care facility for some of their elderly parents.
Yep.
In that situation, would Wealthy just say, "Hey, here's a phone number, good luck," or do you guys actually make the phone calls? Walk me through that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. We take it multiple steps further than that, right? So we would have a conversation with that individual that's going into that long-term care facility, also the caregiver that's working with them and our care coordinator. They would have like an interview. What do we need in that? Does mom need to have her dog there? Does she want to have
Mm.
a facility that lets her walk 2 or 3 times a day? What about if she wants to go swim? Who's going to bring her groceries? She's very
Mm.
particular about that. So we get to know all of these things. What is their budget? Do they need subsidies and stipends? Where to find those, right? All of those things, we go into that level and we start then. We go in to look at those facilities in that geographic area with all of those questions in mind. We interview them, we talk to them, we make sure that they have rooms available. That's a big thing. A lot of times
Mm.
people send lists and then it's like, oh, none, there's nothing available until
Right.
2025. And so we're doing all of that. And then we go back to the family and we present the options that we had listed there, and that's where we walk through and we choose and we set up that initial intake call with that actual long-term care facility. We can have the care coordinator on a phone call with them while they're
Mm.
talking to them. We can FaceTime while we're in the facility. We go to the nth degree on how we support families in that area.
So it really sounds like concierge type service where you guys basically make the outbound phone calls, kind of figure out the situation, and then give employees their options. Is that a fair paraphrase?
Yeah, yeah, and we're not making outbound internally at the organization, so we're not calling all of the employees and saying like, "Hey, what needs do you have?" Where
Sure.
they're coming to us, but
Okay.
absolutely, from everything in that point, we are going externally and doing everything that we can in our power to take a little bit off of their plate so they could just be a dad again or a wife again, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And you mentioned neurodiversity, right? So what's an
Yeah.
example of one employee would reach out to Wealthy for something in that department?
Yeah, I mean, think about a kid that needs like speech therapy, right? And the benefits company may say, "Hey, we're going to give you 5 therapy appointments for the month," right? Well, that's not enough because my primary care said we need, 16 visits, right? So how do we
Right.
work with that? How do we stay in network? How do we go out of network and get those covered? So we're conversating with the facility, we're conversating with the doctor, we're conversating with the insurance company, and making sure that that individual gets the care that they need.
With point solution fatigue setting in with some employers, how do you stand out and show that Wealthy isn't necessarily just another point solution on the table?
I'll just tell you this, like while I sell to VP of Total Rewards, a lot of times I end up in the leave of absence department selling,
Mm.
because it's such an impact on people that were going to leave the organization but decided to stay because they had support or they came back sooner. It's a diversity, inclusion, and belonging issue because women typically leave the workforce at a
Right.
drastically higher rate, right? And so we're able to keep them in leadership longer and have them climb the ladder. So there's a lot of those pieces. We're not a point solution, right? We don't even typically say we're a benefit.
Mm.
We're literally impacting the business as a whole from a retention, from a well-being, from a DEI standpoint, that happens to fall in a benefits category.
Interesting. So one thing you touched upon is utilization, right? So
Yeah.
let's say an employer puts Wealthy or a program like yours in place. What typical utilization would you say is reasonable to expect?
It's a good question. Every company is different. It depends on the demographics and census information of who they are, right? And also, when you look at point solutions, utilization is a funny thing to talk about. Is it logins, right? Like a lot of companies tout utilization as somebody that's logged into the platform
Right.
and are
Yeah.
really utilizing it, right? So you might see that one that says 30% utilization, but it's just 30% of the people logged into the platform. Where we're at from a 3 to 7% utilization of high impact utilization is absolutely massive. And what also it could be, you know, one employee that's doing it in January, and the next person is somebody else in February, and then in March there's 2 other people. So you don't have your care journey for the entirety of the year, and so you're able to have really, really impactful utilization. That um, you know, if you save 5 people from leaving the organization, you pay for Wealthy.
Before we close out, just one question for you. So we teased it out before, but you certainly have a very strong personal brand
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. If you were to give our audience one piece of advice on how to actually develop a strong personal brand, what would that be?
Yeah, give a lot before you ever ask. That'd be my number one thing, right? Like I've posted content for 918 days in a row on LinkedIn.
That's a lot of days.
Um, for 300 of those, it was all about other people.
Okay.
And then I have finally had the ability to ask for things in return for what I've been given. And you know, it can't be all about you. You have to engage with other people's content as much as you engage with your own. And just keep showing up. It's just like anything.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, John.
And for those of you out there, we encourage you to like the video, share, and until next time, thank you for joining.